Hey everybody, welcome to Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. I am Eric. On the bar for today, M&H White Wine Cask 8-pack series single malt whiskey. As always here on the channel, no taste finish review. This is coming your way. I'll tell you a bit about the value, give you my final thoughts, final score, leave you with the malt musing. But first, take a second, smash that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss these whiskey reviews, which I drop every Friday here on the YouTubes. I also have a Tuesday happy hour every Tasty Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Would love to see you there. M&H, formerly called Milk and Honey Distillery, is the first single malt distillery coming out of Tel Aviv in the state of Israel. So we have an Israeli single malt whiskey here. This is the packaging that it comes in. A nice box. As for the bottle itself, this is what we're looking at. Here is the tail of the tape on this whiskey. It is small batch, which doesn't mean a whole lot in marketing terms. It could be anywhere from a few barrels to quite a bit. One of a kind whiskey aged in hand-picked traditional white wine casks from the best Israeli boutique wineries, unveiling the flavors from local Chardonnay wine. So we got a Chardonnay maturation here. Interesting to note here on the bottom, just the wealth of information they provide you about the whiskey. So we have the distilling date of May 16, 2017, the bottling May 31st, 2020. So that's a 3-year aged whiskey. This is bottle number 1 of 1,441 bottles. Batch number 1, 61.2% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtration. So tons of good information for customers like us here on the bottle of M&H. On the back, not much more information. It is kosher. So here we go. Let's get this in the glass. 3 years, 61.2% ABV. This thing is going to pack a punch. And that is the tail of the tape here on M&H's Apex Series White Wine Cask. First and foremost, let's take a look at that natural color. Quite a dark whiskey for just 3 years. It's been a lot of cask activity imparted on this. Let's take a look here, see what we're working with. On the nose. Right away, the white wine cask, Chardonnay kind of sharp, tart lemongrass type note really hits you. But it's a little bit sweeter than if you were just pouring yourself a glass of dry white wine. Behind it, you're getting some of this rich malt. And there's a little bit hints of vanilla, some toffee. Maybe even a hint of a little bit of cinnamon, bit of oak. So this is kind of on the sweet, spicy side of things. Quite a contrast. But, at just 3 years, it's for a 3-year-old whiskey, I'm actually surprised it's not contrasting even more. Let me just double check and make sure on this. Yeah. 3 years. Okay. I'm getting a little butterscotch too, and a bit of minerality, actually. All in all, rather nice, pleasant nose. It's that first smell, you would just get nothing but the white wine, but as you keep going, there's a lot more happening here. It's very sweet. Okay, let's give this a taste. Let's launch. Wow. Big, huge flavor on this. Sharp and sweet. Let's do one more taste. Okay. That first sip, I mean, you taste every percentage of that 61.2%. That is a hard, heavy whiskey. But while you do get some heat, kind of a tart, dry note from the white wine cask was sour. And then you have the kind of more malt sweetness coming in. So sweet, sour as it develops. That sour turns into a bit more kind of a like lemon meringue, sweeter lemon note. You do have vanilla, a little bit of cocoa, cinnamon, chocolate kind of thing going on. Almost fudgy. As it rides into this finish, hints of minerality again. A little salty. But again, sweet, sour, sweet, bitter is really the profile of this whiskey. Medium finish, slightly warming, a little toasty, and surprisingly a bit more creamy. Bitter chocolate. Okay. We're going to put a couple drops of water here. The Glenmorangie water pitcher. We're going to do about 4 drops here. Just want to make sure we bring this down a bit. Again, 61.3% non-chill filtered, or pardon me, 61.2 non-chill filtered natural color. I'll put 6 drops of water on this. I will say that the wine cask is so strong that it definitely masks over any those kind of more youthful whiskey notes. I'm going to be curious to see if we pick up some more of that now. Okay, a bit more spirity now. Still, though, that sharp, dry, tart note from the white wine, almost like a sour grape. And then the warm sweetness. Sweet sour. Again, this whiskey defines sweet sour. I have not had many that that show off the sweet and sour profile quite as much as this one. Getting much else here. Again, just fresh malted barley, which is bringing a nice, pleasant, sweet, almost farm note to it. Light chocolate, a little bit of almond. Okay, here we go. Tame that heat down a little bit. But the white wine cask kind of tart dryness has kicked up quite a bit, which is actually bringing a heat of its own. So more black pepper notes now. Maybe even hints of chili pepper. This is now moving from a sweet sour to kind of a sweet spicy note. A bit more charred oak. Finish is shortened up a little bit. Even at 61.2%, I actually think this was a little bit more cohesive neat. I think it's starting to show that youth as you put the water in and let this break up. It's a bit more disjointed now. Yeah, that finish doesn't have that creaminess anymore. Just on 6 drops of water. Getting more of a lemon lime thing though. Okay. So a bottle of M&H Apex Series white wine cask. Is this a rare exclusive whiskey? No. You can get your hands on this in the United States pretty much any decent liquor shop. You're not going to find it at your grocery store, but you'll find it pretty much anywhere else and at a price of around $90 to $100, give or take, which is a pretty steep price. Considering what you're getting here, which is a very cask strength wine casks, which usually add a little bit to the cost. This is also a world whiskey, from Israel. So you are going to pay for it. I am going to give this just a medium low on the value. And I'll get to why in my final thoughts here. All right, so let's talk final thoughts. First of all, let's talk about the positives. Really impressed with how much more wise beyond its years this whiskey tastes. While of course at 61.2%, you're going to get the heat, and with water, you did notice a little bit of that youth starting to show up. I am pretty impressed. The cask activity on this is pretty strong, and while that Chardonnay cask is a bit overpowering at first, I feel like it does mellow out and even out pretty well as this sits in the glass. I also have to give major kudos to M&H for the integrity in which that they bottled their whiskey. Non-chill filtered natural color, all great. Age statement, they were bold enough to put a 3-year age on this. Appreciate that. Lots of disclosure on their bottle, something that should be modeled. I will say with water, this whiskey got a little bit disjointed. I do think that white wine cask definitely is something that folks either got to really like or are going to want to try before they even consider buying this whiskey. It is just one of those types of things that it brings such a unique character to the malt. And frankly, there's just not a lot of comparable malts out there that I can really point to and say, oh yeah, this is very similar to that. So very interesting stuff. Encouraging to see the way they're presenting their whiskey. I think this would be even more interesting, of course, with a little bit more age. This ABV, while really, really high, could tone it down a little bit. Unfortunately, I think they do that just to bring so much of that full flavor out, and a little bit of water does start to show some of the cracks in this whiskey. All of that said, it does come at a pretty hefty cost. Again, you are getting a cask strength whiskey bottled with integrity, despite only being 3 years old, and wine casks cost money. So a little bit of a mixed bag on this one. Personally, for me, I am not a huge fan of Chardonnay, white wine, anything like that. So this is not necessarily a malt that I'm going to reach for quite often. But I do think this is worth trying, especially if you're trying to kind of broaden your palate, challenge yourself a little bit, and really just try something different. So if you are a white wine fan, this whiskey might be one for you. If not, keep your eyes peeled. Maybe you'll find this on sale and you want to pick up something radically different. Perhaps you just want to try something new at the bar, good whiskey bar, which may have something like this. So look, all of that said, I'm gonna land on a solid 3 out of 5 here. I think there's a foundation for some really good stuff. I am more interested now in trying some other things from M&H. But the white wine, personally, not quite for me. So respectable score, 3.3 out of 5 will be the final score on this, which is right about average. Let me know in the comments if you had this before or anything else from them. Are you a fan of this particular bottle? Are you not? Are you interested in trying it? Would love to hear what you have to say, and would also love to hear if you've had any other M&H bottles. Definitely looking for recommendations. So 3 out of 5, M&H White Wine Cask Apex Series. And with that, I'll kick you over to your malt musing, explore the rest of this dram, and I'll see you next time.